Let's bring back our gaggle, Alfonso Aguilar, Margie Omero, and Nathan Gonzalez. And another culture war issue that's getting a lot of attention today is a new abortion law in North Dakota. And we're going to put up what it does on the screen here. North Dakota abortion laws bans abortion when a heartbeat is detected, bans abortion based on gender, bans abortion based on genetic defects. The governor of North Dakota said this, quote, "Although the likelihood of this measure surviving a court challenge remains in question, this bill is nevertheless a legitimate attempt by a state legislature to discover the boundaries of Roe v. Wade." Fascinating, Nathan. This is almost saying, okay, we're going to do this to get a Supreme Court reaction, which could set up, I mean, if we thought the health care law and we thought that same-sex marriage was huge, this would be the absolute Super Bowl of Supreme Court cases, most likely, if it came forward in the next year.
Right, and this is a case where you have states' rights issues, you have a case where elections matter. We've been talking about the presidential election mattering, but this is where state legislative elections matter, because this is, then they can produce legislation that they want. But I think what's interesting about this is that for the Republicans, there's no isolation anymore. What happens in North Dakota doesn't stay in North Dakota, and now it's going to force other Republican leaders, other Republican candidates, I think, to talk about this issue, for months to come, because of what they're doing in one legislature in one of 50 states.
So remember, part of the GOP autopsy was not to talk about these types of contraception issues, which could offend a lot of younger women. Is there a worry this puts it back in the forefront?
I think that's the mentality of what I call the Rovian establishment GOP. I think that the pro-life movement in the country is growing. States are passing this type of legislation. 47% of Americans believe that abortion is immoral. Those who vote exclusively for this issue vote for candidates who are pro-life. So this is a winning issue for Republicans. It's an issue that helps energize its base. We didn't lose the election because of life or marriage. We lost the election because we had a terrible candidate who could not connect with a middle class and who had a terrible position on immigration.
As a Democrats, they like to run on this issue as well recently. I mean, there was even, I guess, a critique of Republicans. They called the convention the abortion jamboree, but it was very much a significant issue with Sandra Fluck and everybody else.
You know what I didn't get from that statement was, I care about women. I mean, that statement is it's all about politics. I mean, let me tell you how extreme this bill is. You could be trying to get pregnant and not know if you're pregnant at 6 weeks. You could be buying pregnancy tests in bulk because that's how hard you're trying and not know it's 6 weeks. That's how extreme this bill is. It's all about politics. And the percentage of Americans who say abortion should be illegal in all circumstances, which is what that bill would do because there's only one provider in the state, is about 10%. So it's not a winning issue. Two-thirds of Americans think that Roe v. Wade should be protected. And if it was a winning issue, then you'd have Mitt Romney in the White House right now. So this, to me, is the legislative version of Todd Aiken, essentially. And it's something that all Republicans now are going to have to comment on.
Legislative version of Todd Aiken?
Not at all. Again, most people, you may have the majority of Americans saying, yeah, let's not ban abortion, but that doesn't mean that that's the issue that they vote for. Again, those who vote exclusively on the issue of abortion, the majority vote for candidates who are pro-life. So,
but when you use this language, whether it's on gay marriage or whether it's about Latinos or whether it's about abortion, even if you're not part of that group and that is not necessarily your #1 issue, if you keep hearing one party saying we're against that, we don't want, who cares about we don't care about those people aren't important, this we're opposed to, it just sounds like, well, maybe they're coming for me next. Maybe they want to exclude people like me next.
What's interesting is that in light of what we've heard over the last few weeks about this sort of rebranding of the GOP, these issues being at the forefront certainly does not give them a lot of cover to put a better face on it, as Ryan Peebles has said he wanted to do. Lastly, same-sex marriage, huge week for it. Nathan, I'll go to you. It seems to me that on the Democratic side, that there's going to be a battle in the primary to see who is on the right side of history first. I mean, if Hillary Clinton gets in there, I think there's not going to be a primary. But there seems to be a huge shift to this.
Well, I think that, as people have said over the last few days, I don't think there's going to be a major Democratic contender who is has a different position on same-sex marriage than everybody else in the party. Now, the question is the timeline is what you're talking about, and I don't know that it's going to matter that much in three years from now is what we're talking about. So it's
an eternity.
Well, one of the things on same-sex, I think that we sometimes think, well, look at the polling, and because younger voters are more likely to be open to same-sex marriage, that, well, that's a winning issue for Democrats, but that's assuming that that's the issue that's going to decide the future elections. I mean, there's a wide range.
There's a lot more in unemployment, but nevertheless, you think the GOP will evolve on this year? I asked Reince Priebus this last week. I mean, he's 41 years old. By the time he's 50 years old, 9 years from now, will the GOP still be fighting this fight? What do you think?
Hopefully. I think, again, this is an issue that is important to our base. I think it's how you talk about it. I think if you say, look, the fact that we are for traditional marriage doesn't mean we're bigots, doesn't mean we're homophobic. It just means that we believe that marriage is an institution ordered by nature.
Margie, give you the last word quickly.
Well, look, I mean, 3/4 of Americans say 20 years from now, most or all states are going to allow gay marriage. So, so that's something that Republicans need to think about what side they're going to be on.
Shameless plugs, go around.
I want to welcome to Washington, D.C., Marion Boteju. She's the new executive director of American Principles Project, a new leading conservative organization.
My firm, Momentum Analysis, has been acquired by Purple Strategy. I'm going to be managing director of research and continue talking to socially active political moms.
An early happy birthday to my wife. She does so much, but
what a good
if she wasn't taking care of the kids, I couldn't do this show.
And I'm going to give a shout out to